Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mediation and Beyond's YouTube channel. And today I'm excited because I think this is something that everyone should watch this conversation today, because it's on public speaking. It's on getting your voice. So I'm here today with Dr. Doreen Downing. She's a psychologist and a founder of Essential Speaking Institute. I just love the name of that. She specializes in the treatment of anxiety caused by the fear of speaking in public, and is the author of Essential Speaking, the 7-step guide to finding your real voice. We'll tell you how to get that after. Doreen once suffered from stage fright. She set out to conquer her fear and discovered that the key to relaxed and confident speaking is being centered in your true self. Doreen's approach is gentle, and unlike other public speaking trainings, she does not teach performance techniques. Instead, which we're going to learn today, she helps you find the power of your own authentic voice. With her signature 7 steps to fearless speaking, you can learn how to eliminate anxiety. God, we all need that. So you can step up and speak without fear. So Doreen, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, certainly. And I love what you said about the Essential Speaking Institute, because that's been what I do in the world, is to help people find the essence of who they are. And although public speaking people who want to be better public speakers think, oh, I need to be a speaker. And my whole thrust is, no, it's not about making a better speech. It's about being who you really are.
And just getting comfortable. But, I think that, what's interesting, so that my YouTube, so when COVID came, I started this YouTube channel out of being bored. And before that, I had the fear of God in me about just putting myself out there, just being, even videoing myself. But I will say, once I just did it and realized I'm so happy talking to people, it's like that whole thing went away. I don't know where the fear went. I don't care where it went, but it really, because I just like what I do. And I think when you were talking about being authentic and finding you really can find yourself through getting comfortable with putting yourself out there with your voice.
Right, right. A lot of speaking trainings say just be yourself. But in terms of what that means, I mean, yes, there's truth to that, but how do you know yourself? And so that's why I work with people finding what's within and the potential. And I'm so glad you found this, because what a platform for many of us to come and expose ourselves to a community that really needs, I think, women, professional women. That's what I was. Colleen, I had a PhD in psychology. I was hiding my fear. I mean, with psychology, it's just one-on-one, right?
It is one-on-one, I know.
Welcome to my office, and I make it safe, and I have listening skills and real heartful way of being with people that makes them open up. Ooh, but to go out into the world and speak, even with other psychologists in a group that, where we were presenting our cases,
Sure.
my heart would beat. So it was something I hid, and I think a lot of professional women have to put on the suit and rehearse and really try and be something they aren't. And that's what my message is we as women have to find out who we are deep inside, because that's where our true strength is, to speak from a stronger place within.
And I think that's really important. I mean, a lot of the work, I had a prior therapy practice as well, and then it morphed into divorce work, which is, it's not really that much different, except you might have 2 people in the room instead of the one-on-one. But it is it's very comfortable, because it's small, and you're just here, and there's no one over here watching you or think they're watching you, and you get to say what you get to say. But when you put yourself out there for other people to hear your voice and to listen to what you may what you may say, it's all that stuff you get heady about being judged. And how do you, what are some takeaways that people can, so if I signed up for your Essential Speaking course, let's say, or I read your stuff, or what can you help somebody do? Like, how do they find that voice? Like, what do they have to do?
Great question. Yeah, it's first, because I'm a psychologist, I get curious. A puzzle in front of me that somebody
Yes.
is reluctant or holds themselves back or knows that other people are getting advancement, but because of their fear, they aren't. And so the first is saying to yourself, ooh, I need help, or I need to find a way that I can be more courageous. So if people find me where I start, because like I said, it's a puzzle,
Hmm.
where are the roots? When you think about where we first started speaking, when we came out and goo goo gaga,
Yes.
that's where we first get a sense of, are we welcomed? Are we safe? Are we received in a real positive way? Are people around us going, yay? And in fact, there is a stage 2 years old about, they call it, the twos, but it's a stage where the child looks out at the world and it's like, oh, hello, world. And if the world isn't going, mirroring back to them that they are beautiful, precious, strong, magnificent, some kind of
Yeah.
yay back to them, then
They're
the
leading.
child begins to shrink, hide, be insecure. So that's if I go really deep with somebody and they're willing to do that. Well, I'm a therapist, therapy.
Yes.
If somebody's really willing to go back into the early roots, we usually find where insecurity started, where they started to not feel safe, that there's going to be judges. I have to perform. My mother and father are putting lots of pressure on me to get A's. I have to excel. And so that kind of pressure early in childhood, I have so many examples of having actually in this first step to explore underlying roots. And then I have a whole program after we find the underlying roots. But usually it's like, really? I A person will say the same thing, like somebody who has the imposter syndrome.
Right.
When when we started exploring early childhood, he remembered at age 12 his father died, and his uncle came to him and said, "You are now the man of the family." And when he said it, he went, "I'm now the man of the family." And he just went, oh, that's where it started, this being an imposter, because 12 years old, he's not a man and he can't be maintaining whatever a father would do
No.
for a family.
Right.
So, that's an extreme example, I think, of what somebody says their problem is, like they're feeling like an imposter. And I go, let's look back and take this little treasure hunt for where you split off from your true self.
And does it, so I would imagine that in every case, everyone should kind of be looking back to see where they kind of lost their voice to begin with, or where it got quiet.
Oh, I like the way you just said that. Where they got quiet, because I'm an introvert and I do work with many people who are introverts, and they're born maybe with more of a tendency to be quiet, and yet they aren't. It's like, how do you help them feel the power of being quiet in a society that values speaking up? And so I think that parenting early on, if it's done well and they see that the nature of the child is more sensitive, they talk about orchid children and dandelion children, and an orchid child may be just much more sensitive. And if a parent knows that, this is like, oh, the value that that person, the child, could feel about being that kind of sensitivity or sensitive.
Right. But I think, and there is a time to be quiet, right? I mean, there is a time where we don't need to be putting ourselves out there, but for what purposes of this, when we want to be putting ourselves out there and we are kind of stuck in our quiet, right? We're just kind of, we don't we don't really want to be there. But we don't know how to get out of there. And so so you take people to look back to their roots, and once they've established or figured out, because I think this is an overutilized term. I just did an interview the other day with somebody about narcissism. I think it's misunderstood, overused, and almost abused itself, the word. I think people don't. So I wanted to kind of just take a deeper dive into what does that really even look like? Right. So narcissism. So when you're talking about, and I'd like to do a little bit of that with you as we're talking, it's like authentic voice is what? Like, what is an authentic voice?
Yes. Well, I think that first knowing the ways in which you've put on certain characteristics in order to please or in order to fit in order to excel, all the ways in which perhaps you were pressured in younger life, that kind of self-knowledge, knowing that, ooh, that's me putting on, something that's not truly me. And so then the question is, well, who is truly me? That's what you're saying.
Right.
Where is where is my strength? Where's my so then the first step of I call them 7 secrets because it's all about be still, be present. I could go on, but
Yep.
you read the guide, a speaking training that starts with be still, which is about, yes, if you're quiet, quiet, if you're calm and can drop down into, sometimes it's your heart, sometimes it's into your gut, but it's an inner exploration. That's what I love about potential, that people can go within and do a search of what are my core strengths. I know that I'm warm. So whatever stage I get on, nobody could take that away from me.
Mhm.
Somebody may be effervescent, kind of more lively. That's who they are inside, that kind of energy. Some people are just more serious and they could be grounded. So the voice comes from a strength because they know who they are and they've discovered that at their core is, you might say, it's more of a being, and
Mhm.
really want to go further, it's the spirit.
Mhm.
And so that's why I call it the essence of you, who you are, not who you think you are, and not who you developed yourself to be in order to fit in order to excel in this world. It's mostly being true to yourself means knowing who you are and discovering that inner, there are qualities, there are inner qualities, and they are all positive. That's part
Right.
of the message here is it's not a core quality if it doesn't make you shine.
Right. Well, when I'm reading the title, The 7-Step Guide to Finding Your Real Voice, I'm thinking that as somebody who's, society is just overwhelmed with so much. It's almost too much at this point to me. Like there's so much out there. So when I'm reading your 7-step, I could just see somebody saying, "Yep, I can. If I do one of these in a minute, like do you know what I mean? Like, well, just quick, quick, quick." And that's really not how it is when you really want to find your voice, right? I mean, it takes time.
Yes.
Takes
Yes.
time, and you're probably always tuning it, always coming in connection with self, right? But
Yeah.
what I find with today is everybody wants, that instant gratification. Give me my voice in 7 steps, make those 7 steps in 7 minutes, or maybe I'll give you, 7 days, but I, but there's work involved in that. And it's, as you were saying earlier, positive
Uh-huh.
work, like it's all positive.
Yes. Well, you like with the inner, what I talked about, the deeper roots, there's some pain that can be,
Mhm.
but it's a discovery and there's kind of the epiphany, the aha. Oh my goodness. So then I have techniques as a psychologist, of
Mhm.
course,
Yeah.
like inner child work. Like maybe the little kid says, I can't go out. I have a big sister and she's got all the space in the room because she's so extroverted and I'm not. So I hold myself back. And so the inner child work would be something like having a dialogue with that part, the little child that
Mhm.
said, I can't. And then we, as the grown up who's got more skillful listening and has more to give that little one that the little one didn't have at the time. So that's one technique about dealing with the parts that got left behind and empowering the little ones that we had to, uh, sometimes we call it exiled or abandoned.
Mhm.
And so finding those parts and welcoming them, and sometimes parenting, reparenting a part that is,
Right.
because when people say, "I'm afraid," I go, "I know." "Well, why am I afraid?" "We'll find out." And then they go, "I just wanna get rid of my
Right.
fear." And I s to what you just
Yeah,
said about, "Let's do it fast," it's
do
like,
it
we
now.
have, and so it's a whole, that's why I say I work in a gentle, fashion, is that I help people learn to embrace the fear, to actually say, "Oh, hello, little one, you're so afraid." Because they say, "I feel weak," and I go, "Yeah, because you are. There's a part of you that does feel that. Let's go find it and empower it."
Yes, yes. And so once you've kind of gone through your steps, let's say, do you encourage people to go out and start how does somebody just go out and start practicing? So let's say they understand where the root problem was with what prevented them. It's
Mhm.
do you have them video themselves? Do they it's speaking? Do they go out and try to get a speaking engagement? Or are they if it's in a workspace trying to talk, they're having an issue using their voice with their boss, let's say, or giving a presentation. Like, how do you help them once they've established what prevented them from using their voice in the first place?
Okay. Before they actually put anything into practice, there has to be new skills. And that's what the 7 steps offer. And the stillness, because it works physically, you've got to learn how to go from to ah.
Okay.
And so fine, I don't teach them how to do that because there's so many stress reduction programs,
Yeah.
meditation programs, apps, but I do, that is part of the first lesson, that you have to find something that you can use to retrain, reprogram your body to go from anxiety, the heart beating, the breathing. How do you do that? It's usually something with breath and something with relaxation techniques. So once somebody, that's why it's so foundational. I have it as the first step, is because once you can get yourself to stillness, you've got you've got much more awareness in there and strength. So the second step is be present, because people go, that happened to me before. It's going to happen to me again. And then that's the anticipatory anxiety. So it's learning how to be right here, right now. And there are techniques for that, like spotlighting, just finding an object, my coffee cup, my coffee cup, my coffee cup, my coffee cup. Ooh, white. And then pretty soon I'm only with my coffee cup, and the speaking engagement is ahead of me. So, and it doesn't bother me anymore because I'm so focused in the present. And I have the other steps. The third one would be soft gazing, so that I have people practice when they're speaking, even one to one, even with their partners or their
Right.
children or their coworkers. Is all right when you're speaking. Imagine being still, a quiet place inside, feeling like you're really here now. Soften your eyes. The fourth lesson is be listening. And it's a deep listening. It isn't just listening to interact. So, in terms of what your question is, the practicing of these skills is what finally brings people to the point of being able to be lined up inside of any moment, being able to take their self to any kind of speaking engagement because they can self-regulate, because they know, oh,
Gotcha.
I could just soften my eyes. And I ask them when they have their business meetings just to sit back and practice these skills. And I've got the fifth one is to be positive, and it isn't just It's about finding what we talked about in the beginning, the core positive strengths inside, but it's also looking out at people and finding that, like with you right now, just listening to you while I'm speaking with you. I'm not just speaking at you.
Right, right.
I just feel like we are together in this now moment, exploring together and talking together. And,
Yes.
I'm seeing your eyes and I'm just, I feel really happy to be with you. And so I can go further, but
Yeah, you're
the
not talking, it's not, we're not talking at each other.
with
It's a share. It's a share.
right,
And and once you feel comfortable with yourself, then you can bring your comfort into the room in hopes that other people bring their own comfort into the room.
absolutely, yeah. You're welcoming rather than being afraid, and you're really looking for the good in people as opposed to watching out for the judgment. And then the last step is be yourself, which is a journey, like you said, and it takes time, and it took me a year actually to find my voice in this way. And I did all sorts of things. So I've combined everything I've ever done and put it into, this,
Well, I
my
think those make the best teachers. I used to be a teacher, and I think that the best teachers are the ones who learn from their mistakes, their experiences and their successes, and bring it to other people. I think it's hard to teach what you haven't done.
yes. It's like if you've taken that trip, you know the road, you know the path, you know some of the
Absolutely.
curves, and but you also know some of the vistas, you know.
Yes,
Hey, take a
absolutely.
look at this.
Yeah,
And
because you can't see it yet, but it's up the road. Right?
right, right.
The
And
road, or
there's
it's around the turn.
yeah, yes, yeah, the guidance, I guess, and the encouragement, and that's what I love doing is bringing out potential within people. And I know that there's this whole other, yeah, but yeah, but I have to, I have to impress the boss, and then if somebody has fear of intimidation, I go, what happened earlier on that you had big people who judged you early on, teacher or I don't know, dad or mom.
Yeah, I've worked with a client, coaching her in different areas of her life for the past, I don't know, past probably year plus. And she just called me yesterday to finally say that she just felt like she came into her own. And
Mhm.
it wasn't like it was scheduled on the calendar. It's just like, she goes, I just know it's
Uh,
different. I'm different. I'm
yeah.
handling things different. And she goes, and I notice. And like, that's such a beautiful thing. And I think it's kind of like with your authentic voice. It's not like you're going to get the authentic voice on a certain day and it's going to show up. It comes, it comes as part of doing the work.
Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
remember when she wanted to work with me, I said, I'm not going to work with you unless you're willing to make a commitment. Because
Yeah.
because I don't want to be a band-aid to something.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Absolutely.
I don't want to be the band-aid to something. I want you to do the work. I see you. I want you to see what I see, right? I see you. And I think that's with your program too. It's like you have doing the work is such a beautiful thing so that you can really be settled with yourself
Mhm.
and then take your settled self and go out and speak.
Right, and what you asked about is how do you practice if you're learning how to be still?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's you could practice stillness in any meeting. You could practice softening your eyes even if you're driving down the road, so you develop much more of a physical, embodied sense of being in the here and now, being present. And also there's this toning, like, where's the voice come? Where's the sound of my voice? Is it resonating? Um,
Right.
there's somebody I worked with recently. You could just tell she was talking like this and just really pushing her voice out. And it's just like, oh, I almost want to go, ah. And when, and
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
stillness is so important, because if you know how to bring yourself down to an inner strength, then it feels like your voice comes from a, like a Zen bell where it goes ding.
Yes. And it resonates, right? Right. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Mhm.
So I think if somebody wanted to work with you, how are they able to contact you?
I think the easiest way would be to start to get my guide, and that would be Doreen, Doreen is my first name, Doreen7steps.com. And that would give them the 7-step guide. And in that, they've got access to my website, and from there, the programs that I lead, the coaching programs. But I think a good first step to see if it fits for people,
Yep.
because it's not traditional. It's not like, hey, look at the audience. I say, soften your eyes
Yeah.
and gaze softly at your audience and connect one person. If you're going to have a tip, the tip is only speak to one person at a time. And then it becomes conversational. If you're already comfortable speaking to one person, then don't make it be a whole group that you're speaking to. Find one pair of eyes that are friendly. And usually in an audience, there's always a friendly
Always.
voice. Yeah.
Always. There's always somebody out there waiting to just hear what you have to share with them
Right.
without judgment.
And the more you pay attention to them in this other way we were talking about with kindness, you're looking at them with kindness, not out of fear. They then goes, they have, it's energy. It's like, ooh, that speaker is paying attention to me. It makes you want to be more of a good listener.
Yeah, no, we have a program here. I'm in Connecticut, and we have a program here in Connecticut. I don't know if it's other places. It's called Dress for Success. And it's really donating clothes to help women and stuff who are looking for other jobs. Do you know what I mean? So you help dress them,
Yeah.
so they look professional. And I love the program, but I always think the missing element is you can dress somebody up, but you can't change who they are. So it's like, if you don't help that person bring themselves into the job, or into the interview, into being authentic with themselves, all the clothes in the world aren't going to make you be ready for that. So I think you need both, right? I think you need to understand who you are and your authentic voice, and your voice in general, be able to use it, then put on the clothes.
Yes. Yeah. And then there's all layers are lined up.
Yes.
Because we are layers, right?
Yeah. Oh, without, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And
It's
then,
not you just want to peek in and then close it, but you really need to go there, right?
right.
Like, oh,
Right.
I don't want to really go there, but it's good to go deep. It's good to find your voice. And I think your program can be really, I think really far more rich and meaningful if somebody wants to choose to be able to do some of the work that's necessary to really finding out where their voice is, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's personal development, personal growth, isn't it?
Yeah, there's really to be true to self and to really come out, no matter how nice you look, or to really come out and be who you are, you have to really do the work. And I think that's so important, and I think so many people want to circumvent that,
Yes.
and that's why we don't get a lot of authenticity out there. So we get a lot of people out there, but we don't get a lot of authentic people out there. So something like your program is spectacular, because again, like you said, you're not traditional.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it in a different way. So thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for sharing your message. I'm excited to put it out there. I think it's definitely necessary. I hope people will contact you. I'll have your information, Doreen, in the details below in the YouTube channel. And much success with what you're doing. And I hope our paths cross again.
I hope so too, Colleen. Thank you for understanding and for being such a great listener yourself.
Thank you. I enjoyed our experience. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.